Hello all. Here we go for our third video of 3 in which we explored the formation of the Americas by the glaciers, the different biomes during the Pleistocene and into the Holocene, some of the changes that happened at the start of the Holocene. And today we're actually gonna move back to the end of the Pleistocene and look at the arrival of a new species. We talked a lot about the eradication of a number of species, 70% of megafauna in that time period from about 12,000 to 10,000 years ago, which straddles the end of the Pleistocene and into the Holocene. So we're going to go and look at the arrival again of a new species, Homo sapiens, to this strange new world. And yes, there were megafauna. If you sort of run the dates and numbers, there were megafauna present when the humans arrived. And not just there were megafauna today, I should specify. This is before the mass extinction of the megafauna. So humans would have seen all those wonderful megafauna that we looked at in the last presentation, such as the American lion or 3 different species of mammoth, as well as 3 different species of camels, right? Large armadillos, all that cool stuff. Okay. These are our questions. What are the identifiers for the Clovis people? What is the Clovis first model? 2 questions today. Perhaps even a shorter presentation. I'll do my best. All right. Probably unsurprisingly, our presentation starts in Clovis, New Mexico. You can see it's right there on the border of New Mexico and Texas. I guess in order to see in relation to some major cities, they dotted some on there. They did not add Albuquerque. What's up with that? It's about right up in there, Albuquerque, New Mexico. All right, well, what happened? 1929, an amateur archaeologist, a 19-year-old amateur archaeologist by the name of James Ridgely Whiteman, discovered a unique set of artifacts. Artifacts are things generally fashioned by humans, but always used by humans, right? I say generally fashioned because it is possible to pick up a stone and use it to sort of hone a flint or some other object. You didn't change the stone, right? But you used it for a purpose. That's an artifact, okay? So generally used, or generally modified to some extent, but not always. Artifacts are things that can be transported from one place to another, unlike a feature would be like a cave or a building or something really large. Post holes, right? These are, you can't move a post hole. It's a hole. So these are called features, things you can't really move or transport. But he found some artifacts. What did he find? He found some of these arrowheads or these spear points. All right? These spear points were really unique. They're different than spear points that have been discovered not only in America, but elsewhere. Well, how were these different? Actually, let's take a look at this image. You can see, for instance, the awesome fluting in here. All right, this is one of our teams. A fluted point is a point that has this part carved out down here, which would attach to the piece, usually a bone actually, that would be a part of a larger wooden spear. Okay, so, and I'll talk a little more about what these look like and show you a picture of a recreation. But in any case, these fluted out areas are really sophisticated technology. They're hard to make. You can actually see some cool YouTube videos in which people with modern and ancient equipment attempt to recreate these things. And it's really hard because they're so brittle, right? And yet you want to get a nice groove in here. And it's not just on this side. If you flip these over, you have a similar groove on the other side, right? You want flutes on both sides, ideally, in order to fasten that bone, which is fastened to that stick, so it can be launched in one way or another. All right. So this is a strong identifier of this new people who would come to be called the Clovis people, as these are, as we'll see, found all over, actually, what is now the United States. All right. Very cool and very unique spear points. What else are we identifying as we look at who the Clovis are? You'll see that they made bifaces. So a biface, here's one side, here's another side, and this is an important image, the one in between, because you'll see that they honed each side so as to give it an even sharper edge. All right. And I guess this could be a little bit sharper, right? But as you imagine this as well, these are bifaces as well, because it has both sides honed, not just one side honed, but both sides are honed, which makes it all the more sharp. Okay. So these bifaces and fluted points are new sorts of things that we're finding, and therefore archaeologists attributed this to a new sort of people that are arriving to the Americas. Here again, you have the flutes. I sort of show this image, kind of shows you where the fluting is. We've already talked about that. You'll see some flutes go a little higher up, some are a little short. Ideally, your flute goes higher, right? Because that allows you to attach your bone or your rod, which would go on the spear, even further down, and make it, stronger, easier to throw with accuracy, less breakable. Okay. And here's a picture. So you have this Clovis point. This is all replicas. You have this bone rod, which you'll see, you can't really see here, it's sort of carved out in the center. Then this is inserted, and it will go as high as the fluted points. And then you bind that over that, all right? And then you have a wooden piece that this is bound to, this rod. So this bone rod kind of serves as a hook, but also as a weight, right? Allow you to throw with greater accuracy and get more weight behind your throws as well, right? Especially important if you are hunting mammoths, for instance, which the early Clovis people very clearly did. Not just mammoths, but other animals as well. They're hunter and gatherers, absolutely. And these spear points are testament to that. So you can see a lot more down here, really beautiful fluting. I don't know what happened to the tips of these. Did I? Oh, there we go. I thought that looked strange. Like all the tips are cut at the exact same spot. All right. Keep it moving. I like this image. This is an artist's rendering, actually an archaeologist's rendering. One of the things that archaeologists do, particularly in the field, is document and make and draw pictures of things that you're discovering. Oftentimes, before things get moved, here are just some documents that weren't necessarily taken in the field, but taken later. Look at this flute. It goes all the way to the tip. Really remarkable. If they were able to do that fluting also on the other side, it's crazy. It's a piece of art, man. I mean, truly a piece of art. A piece piece of martial art, as it were. I don't know, as these were weapons, I suppose. All right, let's keep moving. So here, number 16. America is a little elongated here. I don't love what's happening here, but so this looks like it's really a lot further east than New Mexico, but no, this is New Mexico. But we're not going to say we talked about New Mexico already. We are going to go to Wenatchee. All right, number 1. I think they probably numbered it number 1 because it's furthest west. But I think it's number 1 for a lot of other reasons as well. Very cool stuff here, as we will see. And by the way, this is a distribution of some larger Clovis caches that were found, or assemblages. All right, a cache is just like, you didn't find just a random point, but you actually found what was essentially maybe even a storage place for these points. Like, you dug and you found a whole bunch in one area, in one pit. Okay, so these aren't all the Clovis sites that exist, but these are the Clovis caches that exist. And when you find these caches, as you can imagine, it's really a treasure trove. So we're going to go look, and we're going to look at the East Wenatchee Clovis site, which had a number. You can see there are 46 total artifacts found by a farmer in 1987. I believe he was building some sort of some sort of water pipe system, I forget, drainage system or something. Came across 46 total artifacts, and which we would call a cache, right? Because they're all kind of situated in this pit, and found them in situ. That means he found them as they were left by the ancient peoples, okay? They were not maybe excavated somewhat, or like found illicitly and moved around, so you don't know exactly where they came from. Maybe you bought it on the black market, or a friend dug it up, gave it to an archaeologist. These are actually found in the ground, in situ. Okay, this is in 1987. Now, this was the first cache found in situ among the Clovis, and you can see again that there's a bunch of them. So the one, probably because it's most west, but also it was the first cache that was found in situ. Pretty cool. Not all of these are found in situ. All right. It's unclear what Mr. Whiteman was doing in this right here, or how he came about them. I think is a little more dubious, but this one is very clearly documented, found undisturbed in the ground, which is just so valuable to the archaeologists. All right. Currently, this East Wenatchee cache is viewed at the Washington State History Museum in Tacoma. Maybe you've gone. Maybe now you want to go. I don't know. These here are not points, all right? These are, there were 24, I believe, arrow points in this cache. And these are the bone rods that were found, all right? Remember these guys right here, right up here? Okay. So what you actually have is this little weapons cache that was found, that had points and rods, among some other things, which were instrumental. Oh, that's a pun. Instrumental, right? These are instruments. All right. Let's keep moving. Lest you think that was the coolest thing that was found in the state of Washington, and maybe it still is, but let's talk about the Ruts Clovis point. This is the largest Clovis point to have been found, at nearly 10 inches, all right? This is made out of obsidian, that sort of volcanic sharp rock, or rock that is made out of your melted lava, I guess. This is specifically called rainbow obsidian. So as you shed light on it, it takes on different hues, particularly these cool greens. Found in Douglas County, Washington, in the Chelan area. Again, nearly 10 inches long. And look at the fluting on this. Look at how high it goes as well. Such an awesome piece. Alas, however, this awesome piece is not on view at any museum. It was purchased by a private individual in, I want to say 2013, for the right price of $276,000. All right. Yeah, can't see it. It's a shame. What a piece. Okay, so some summary about what we've looked at with respect to the Clovis. And up to this point, we're calling them the Clovis people. You know, just even looking at that map again of Clovis distributions, I think it's really problematic to begin to talk of a Clovis culture in general as if people in the Pacific Northwest during this time period, which we'll see, which I'll note in a moment here, is similar to these different biomes. Even subtropical biomes are different than we have the deciduous forest to conifers. Obviously, there are other factors that need to be considered as you think of a culture of a people. It's not just the technology. In my mind, it's probably better to talk about the Clovis technology rather than the Clovis people. I'm using Clovis people because it is conventional. And I think it also is kind of understood that they were not a single culture necessarily, but peoples who adopted similar technology for hunting large game. Okay, so unclear if Clovis is a culture or just shared tech. This is maybe generous, but I would call it more of a shared tech. All right, I'm not a scholar in this field, though I think it is appropriate. Remarkably, the dates for Clovis is a pretty small window, only about 300 years. 13,000 years ago to 12,700 years ago. So this is toward the end of the Pleistocene. Again, we have large game into the Holocene, right? This is not what this presentation is about, but this is, I think, an important rabbit trail to pursue. But to what extent are human factors or climactic factors to account for the eradication of 70% of megafauna in North America? It's a great question. It's not our question this time, though. Alas, we're pursuing a different question. All right. These dates coincide with the opening of the ice-free corridor, okay? And that's one of our key terms. I'll talk about what that is shortly here. But this is what we know. We do know, again, there is a Clovis technology. The dates are around this time. That's generally accepted. Oops, were those my only 3 reports? Oh yeah, and the dates coincide with the ice-free corridor. Let's talk about that. But before I do, let's look at a map of human migrations. This is a sweeping map here, right? So, for instance, can I get that over here? Oh, I didn't want to do that. All right, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Here, you see, this is sort of where Homo sapien emerges in Southeast Africa around 200,000 years ago. And from here, moves around the Earth, right? And the entry point into the Americas is right here. All right, I think there we go. I give you a little circle for what this is here. For what's called this Beringia land bridge, all right, which allowed individuals to traverse continents into North America, right? At this point, at least, you see glaciers that would not allow the passage. All right, they're probably, oh, they're chilling. They're chilling. Oh, I'm just so good today. All right. Recall from the first presentation. Excuse me. We had a couple ice sheets here. The Cordilleran and the Laurentide, which you can't see the label for. And you see right here, there's a little seam. This is going to become our ice-free corridor. All right. So as the glaciers melt, and this is the Clovis first model that we're talking about here. I'm beginning to explain that. Sorry, I didn't signal it. This is one of our questions. What is the Clovis first model? Well, that is the migration model that has individuals crossing from Europe into North America over this Beringia land bridge and using the ice-free corridor that was that seam between the Cordilleran and Laurentide ice sheets. And you have people then migrating south here, also then east, and some people even going up further north there. Okay. So this is our Clovis first model. And as the name indicates, then the first peoples that arrived to the Americas are the Clovis peoples. And we know that they're the Clovis peoples because we identify the Clovis peoples by that really unique material culture, or artifacts in this case. The fluted spear points and the bifaces, especially the fluted spear points. Okay, those are of particular importance when identifying the Clovis. If the individuals are Clovis or not Clovis, really, the flutes are what's really, really important. All right, so what is this model then? 13,000 years ago, approximately, circa, you have people moving into the Americas and populating the Americas, all right, identified by their technology. Okay, there is, however, a problem with the Clovis first model. It's wrong. Or, more accurately, it's incomplete. This is sort of our breaking off point for our next activity, in which you are going to investigate a case study, and you're going to figure out, based on what you're learning about this case study from a North or South American case study, to what extent the case study either supports this Clovis first model or challenges the Clovis first model. All right, I thank you. That is all.